right, so tell the YouTube people what we're up to this time.
We just came down off of Belleville Mountain, and we're in what we call Big Valley. And Big Valley is noted for the Amish people. Now, Amish people are different from others, but there are 3 or 4 different sects of Amish, and there's the old order Amish, and then there's those who are a little more liberal, and so forth. Some of them drive black top buggies, white top buggies, brown top buggies, and that's how they're known. How the different kind of Amish are known because of their buggies and their dress. There's a little different in their dress too. So let's go on down the road.
All right, we're gonna move now.
The snow is beautiful. We've had a lot of snow this winter.
Yes, we have. A lot of snow, a lot of ice.
And that's why the scenery is so beautiful, because of the snow. So we're going down Back Mountain Road, and we're circling.
We're just kind of taking a lap around Belleville.
Around Belleville, and it's one of the nicest days we've had all winter. That's why we're out driving around now. And the weather hasn't been fit, or the roads fit for us to drive on. So we're going down this road, and you'll see some beautiful fields of snow.
Yeah, like over here. Yeah.
And that's Stone Mountain over there. And here's somebody going down the road.
Riding a scooter.
On a scooter,
oh, no,
bicycle.
It's a kind of a scooter / bike.
Riding his bicycle.
It's a bike that rides like a scooter.
So what you see is the road ahead of us, and in the distance you'll see, I don't know if you can see them.
If you can see it on the camera screen, the people on YouTube can see it right now.
I see 3
silos.
And this is a farm right alongside the road. One time, there was Anna Margaret used to come over here to buy capons for Thanksgiving, and I was sitting there waiting for her, and some guy said, and was talking to me, and I said, my sister-in-law is in here buying capons, and he wanted to know what a capon was. And I didn't want to explain that to him, even though I knew what it was. And it's something they do to the chicken, the rooster, to make it get big for Thanksgiving.
That's what Google is for anybody watching that wants to know what that means. So that way we don't have to explain it.
Right. So I think we'll wait till we get on down the road further here and see if we can find some. The sky is beautiful today.
Yeah. It's going to look a little bluer through the top of my windshield because I got that tint there. But yeah. Yeah, it's really nice through here. I mean, I should explain to people watching, in case they don't know this, but Belleville is one of the biggest Amish areas in Pennsylvania.
We just happen to be.
We're coming up on some horse and buggies right now.
They're going to pass right here, horse and buggy.
Yep. One with a roof and one without.
Yes.
I'm actually going to wait until we get past this hump here before I try and go around them.
If you never saw a horse with a buggy behind before, now you're seeing one.
Right. And the Amish generally don't like to be shown on camera, so we won't show their faces. But yeah, there it is.
No, out of respect for the Amish, you don't take pictures of them.
Right.
They don't mind you taking a picture of their buggy or something like that, but
yeah, they themselves don't like to be on camera.
They get that from a misinterpretation of the Bible, that not to make a graven image. And they have their own interpretation of the Bible, and we respect them. Most of the people in the area, the English, they call us the English, respect the Amish people because they live.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because, you know, they're not hurting anybody.
And they live according to their beliefs.
So while we're out here in this, you know, nice scenery, you know, you were telling me some things before we left about, you know, like, you know, you remember things from like 1936 and whatnot. So why don't you talk about that a little bit?
One of the biggest snows we ever had was 1936. I was 11 years old that year, and that's when everybody remembers the 36 flood. One of the dangers of having a lot of snow is that it thaws quickly in the spring, and then you have a danger of a flood. So the worst flood I ever saw was the 36 flood, although we've had a couple floods since that, like 1972, and where I saw the campers from the campground floating down the river. But the one I remember, most people around remember the most, is the 36 flood, because it was probably one of the worst ones that I remember. Now, when my 19, I'm trying to think. 1889, I think, was when they had the Johnstown flood.
I think so, yeah.
That was the year my mother was born, 1889, and that's the year they had what they call the Johnstown flood. There was a dam up above Johnstown, and it broke and flooded the whole area. And
yeah, because I believe it was just a dirt dam or something like that at that time.
I've been there to where it was, and it doesn't seem like much of a dam, but it really caused a lot of damage.
It doesn't take much.
Imagine what would happen if the Racetown Dam ever broke.
Yeah, we were there in one of the past videos. It doesn't look big compared to, say, something that more people are more familiar with, like the Hoover Dam or something, but you have to understand, that's 35 miles long that lake is, and that's a lot of water. There's like whole towns under there.
That's Racetown, yes. And it could be very, very bad if it ever broke.
Yeah, there's towns under there like Racetown and H and places like that.
Even as far down as clear to Harrisburg.
Yeah, the water would pretty much wipe out half the state.
There's so many jet streams in the sky today.
Yeah. One thing I was thinking of, and I was saying about this, was a little over 20 years ago, probably about 21, maybe even 22 years ago now. But I would say it had to have been 21 years ago, because it would have been 1993 going into 1994. We had probably one of the worst blizzards I ever saw in my lifetime. And I can remember just how high the snow got piled up. And we missed a lot of school that year. I'd have been in kindergarten at the time, and I remember we missed a lot of days that winter because we were making them up clear into the middle of June.
Yes.
And I'll just never forget, you know, you would walk through like these walls of snow, you know, the way they had the sidewalks dug up and stuff there in town.
When you shovel the walk, you were like in a tunnel.
Pretty much, yeah.
And I had to do that myself at that time because you weren't quite big enough for that, and Papa had died in 1989, and so over here's a horse and buggy too.
Yeah.
You can't see it very plain on here.
Well, that's because we got the sun coming directly at us, but when we get closer to it here, yeah, there it is.
To the people that don't live around here, that aren't used to seeing the Amish buggies. They're really unique to them.
Yeah, because I mean, YouTube is a worldwide thing. Anybody in any country of the world could see this, and there are some parts of the world, that most of them would not have access to YouTube, but they still live like that.
Yeah.
Not just here in central Pennsylvania, but in other countries out there, that are not as well off as the ones that you see in mainstream media.
They don't have electricity. An Amish family that I knew, that people from our church went to their house and they cooked meals for them. But they bought a new house and they had to take the electricity out of it because it's one of their rules. They can't have electricity. They can't have a telephone. Although they have maybe one out in the field someplace where they call it a telephone shack or something like that. In a case of emergency or something, they can run there and use it. It belongs to the whole community.
Right, because, society is run mostly, by people like us, that are used to having, modern, commodities and whatnot. Even the Amish need to be able to get in contact with people like us.
For an emergency.
Like, if their house is on fire or something, obviously they're going to need help. So they do need some way to communicate.
They have no TVs. And it doesn't seem to be a problem to them.
Well, no, and because, that's what they're used to. They're born and raised like that, so to them, that they don't know any better,
They cook some of the most delicious meals, and they have...
Oh, absolutely. It's because they do everything the old-fashioned way. Not all this processed stuff that we get, fed to us these days.
I can remember, I mentioned this to Florence a while ago when we were kids. Our mother had to cook on an old-fashioned cook stove, wood stove. But boy, they cook some of the best meals you ever want to eat on those old-fashioned stoves. My mother canned everything in the summertime, and I remember she dried corn and made dried apple snits. Our basement was full of canned goods, and we made our own sauerkraut.
I can remember, like, when we used to go to Mountain Inn and cook on the old wood stove in there, and that was some of the best cooking ever.
Right.
Up there in the mountains like that, old wood stove, you can't really beat it.
I remember pancakes and pudding meat. Oni, my sister, always wanted, and once a year, we're going to have pancakes and pudding. And if you don't know what pudding is, when they butcher and they grind up all the meat and the maybe liver, heart, and all that from the pigs, and they made this, what we call pudding meat. And it was very, very good on pancakes.
Tell you two people the story you told me about Aunt Oni and Aunt Sarah before we left.
They used to come up to my house when I lived in Newton Hamilton every Sunday, and we'd play rummy cube. Sarah loved to play rummy cube, and she was just starting to get Alzheimer's, but she could still play rummy cube. And they were telling people, the television and radio were telling people not to drive, don't get out on the road if you don't have to. Well, that didn't stop Leona. She came anyhow. I remember Sam said, "That woman, let's marry that woman anyhow," and I told him about it. So she wasn't afraid to drive in it. I would have been scared. Because I had a bad accident once when the snow was on the road. There was a man up the road farther, up by Atkinson's Mills, I guess you'd call it, and he was plowing his driveway with a garden tractor, and I ran over him. I would come up over a rise in the road, and there he was, and I never felt so bad in my life. I thought, oh man, I must killed him, but I didn't. But he ended up in the hospital with a broken back, and I never drove. It took me years before I'd drive down that same road again. But he was the one that got he said, I not only got run over, I got arrested too. So he was arrested for having that thing out on the road.
Now we're getting into a little bit more modern civilization.
Yeah. We're heading the other way. We're on the, I guess you'd call this the Belleville Road now, or...
We're in 655 North.
That's right. I was trying to think of the number. And it's still...
I just think this really is one of the nicest places to drive through any time of year.
Oh, yes.
Because, I mean, you look down over the fields there, I mean, you just see nothing but, you know, just rolling hills, and right now we have all this snow. It just looks like, you know, an old-fashioned winter, doesn't it?
Yes.
And then we got some horses over here in this field on the other side. Nice white horse right there.
When you wonder where he's finding anything to eat under that snow.
Well, there's a little bit poking up out of there.
So he seems
We
to...
didn't get a lot of snow this last couple of times, but it's just enough that it kind of, you know, sets the right mood, you know.
Somebody walking along the road out here. Oh, it's an Amish lady. Carrying something.
It's just a normal guy there. I think we'll come back here when we think of some more things to talk about.
Yes. This clock that you can see here was built, there it is. My nephew lives up the end of that lane, TikTok Lane, and his brother, my other nephew, Dick, built that clock for him. And the reason is that Bill, my nephew who lives up there, repairs clocks. He's a clock repairman. I don't know if he still does it or not, but I suppose he would for a special occasion.
Well, since we're really close to it, this isn't where I want, but coming up here on Roundhouse Road, I want to try and get close to the river because it's the first time I think I've ever shown on camera if we can see it. Hoping we can. But the river's actually frozen for the first time in I think years. I'm hoping we can get close enough to see it.
So now we'll see if we can get a picture of...
Here, give me this, because I know you can see it better over on this side.
The river is frozen over.
But if you look up through the distance there, you can see the Juniata River is genuinely frozen.
Oh, look there. Look at all of the geese down there.
And stuff standing behind. Yeah, keep the camera on it. Yeah.
If I got them or not.
Well, if you can see them through the screen, there you can see them on the video.
That was interesting to see the geese.
Yeah. You can see all those geese and stuff down there standing on the frozen river.
Yeah.
That's something you don't see very often this day and age.
No. A lot of our wild geese don't go north or south anymore, but they hang around. I don't know why.
There's some more of them down there.
There's probably, yeah, they're probably wondering why they can't catch any fish when the river's froze over. Yeah, there's a bunch of them over there too.
Well, I think we'll come back in here once we get out of town here. Alright, so we've pretty much been all over the place today, and we need to kind of wrap this one up somehow, so, you have any final thoughts for this video? But go ahead, just...
Oh, well, it was a nice drive. We got to see some things we hadn't seen, like the new store over at Belleville. And we got to show the people some Amish buggies, and the snow was beautiful, and the mountains looked really nice. And I enjoyed the ride too. So we're getting closer to home, and we have to get home and cook some supper. Nathan's a pretty good driver. And I didn't yell at him once, I didn't think. And that's about it.
So, as per usual, don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more of this, and we'll see you next month.